Edward Espinoza, he is a former DNC superdelegate, executive director of Progress Texas. Margie Omero is a Democratic pollster and co-host of the Pollsters podcast. Alex Conant was communications director for Marco Rubio's presidential run. He's now a partner with Firehouse Strategies. And Carl Bernstein has dabbled in journalism from time to time.
Once in a while.
He's a CNN political commentator and author of A Woman in Charge, The Life of Hillary Rodham Clinton. Carl Bernstein, I want to start with you because tonight the big speaker is Bill Clinton. What do you think the challenge is for Bill Clinton tonight? How much pressure is on him tonight, and how well does he need to do as an advocate, not for himself, but for his wife?
Yeah. He needs not to stumble as he has occasionally. My guess is he's not going to stumble. Look, they made a terrific case last night for Hillary Clinton as President of the United States. A much better case was made by Michelle Obama, by all the speakers last night, especially Cory Booker as well. A better case than Hillary Clinton has made for herself. And the big speech at his convention is going to be hers, and she has got to make the case for herself, move beyond the server, move beyond the distrust, and Bill Clinton needs to do that too. But finally, they are on message. If you are a Democrat, they are really on message now. They are unifying. I wouldn't make, like Joe Biden said, too much out of the reluctance of some Bernie supporters. This is coming together, and what you saw last night and Bill Clinton tonight is the road show itself. If Hillary Clinton is going to win this election, the people you saw last night as her surrogates, plus the President of the United States, plus Hillary Clinton, that's how she wins this election, with the messages that we're hearing now. And particularly, don't underestimate the power of the young woman, the young disabled woman, and the ugliness of Donald Trump as an issue in this campaign.
We're looking ahead to tonight in the speech tonight, Bill Clinton's speech tonight, Edward. I mean, performance reviews of Bill Clinton through the campaign this cycle have been a bit mixed in terms of him on the stump. Does the big dog still have his bite?
Absolutely. You got to remember, the thing about Bill Clinton is that this is his element. He loves party politics. He is a political animal. There's no reluctance there. You get him in front of that room will light up. They will respond to him. And the message that comes from Bill Clinton, probably from Barack Obama tomorrow night as well, is that the president sets the tone for how the nation goes. And when you compare that to what's happening from Donald Trump, what's coming out of Donald Trump's mouth these days, it's a strike contrast. I think Clinton is going to own it.
Margie Omero, you've been polling. You talk to people after the Republican convention. I imagine undecided voters in there. What do they tell you they need to see here in Philadelphia?
Well, the first thing that's really notable from what we looked at, we tested actual speeches from the Republican convention, and they moved people. You see the bounce at a lot of polls that have come out in the past few days, and even Democrats say that they moved a little bit. They became a little bit more favorable toward Trump. Not that they're going to all rush to vote for him, but they moved a little bit. Ivanka, though, this is important for a lot of Democrats. She moved a lot of Democrats. She became increasingly popular, in part because she used language and policies that are, in fact, Hillary Clinton policies, not Donald Trump policies, on making sure it's easier for moms and parents to work and raise kids. So we're going to see some of that same language. It was popular in the Republican convention. It's going to be popular in the Democratic convention, too.
How much was the numbers were moved by Democrats? Were they really that many Democrats were moved by the Republican
incremental.
convention?
I mean, we showed that Trump was up 3 initially. In a similar poll we did a couple weeks ago, he was down 4. So that's already overall movement.
And then showing the Democrats, if Democrats were really effective.
Affected. Alex, let me ask you this. I want to ask you about Donald Trump was tweeting this morning.
Yeah.
Surprise. And he tweeted this: why aren't the Democrats speaking about ISIS, bad trade deals, broken borders, police, and law and order? The Republican convention was great. You're no fan of Trump, but does Donald Trump have a point?
He does. I mean, it was jarring to see how different the messages were here compared to what we saw in Cleveland last week.
Yeah.
They painted very different pictures of where we are as a country, and it was striking how they both talked to their own bases. Trump was trying to unite Republicans in Cleveland last week, and it's remarkable that Hillary Clinton, running against Donald Trump, is still having trouble uniting Democrats here in Philadelphia. everything about last night was about trying to unite the Democratic Party, and she's still struggling to do that. It'll be interesting to see if she does pivot later this week and make a case similar to what Ivanka Trump did and try to reach independent voters, because right now nobody is speaking to center-right independent voters.
Those issues that Donald Trump brought up, Edward, let me ask you. Do they need to come up here when you're talking about law and order, when you're talking about borders, when you're talking about trade deals?
Terrorism.
Do Democrats?
Well, so
terrorism.
I think those issues will come up. But remember, in the convention, Republican convention, they didn't come up until night 3. We're only in night 1 right now, so we've got some time. But there's an important element between the Democratic convention and the Republican convention, which that the messages coming out of this are more forward-looking, they're more optimistic. They're more about what our agenda is for, as opposed to the Republican convention, which was 4 days of what we're against, which sometimes was each other.
4 days, which your friend Margie O'Mara here said worked.
Yeah.
It worked more with Republicans than it did with Democrats. It does show how divided we are as a country. I mean, another really striking difference is the diversity of views, the inclusiveness, how we talk about race and gender and ethnicity is so strikingly different from what you saw last night, from what we saw out of Cleveland, which was worrying and troubling to a lot of Democrats watching.
I think the Republican Party is much more diverse than what we saw in Cleveland last week. I mean, a lot of next-generation conservatives just didn't show up last week.
Like, for instance,
my former boss, Marco Rubio. I mean,
he did beam in a video that looked like
he spoke via video, but where was Senator Tim Scott? Where was Governor Nikki Haley? Right. I mean, these are the next generation of Republican leaders. They weren't in Cleveland last week. But it's interesting because we're not seeing next generation leaders here either. All of the voices that we're hearing from in prime time, they're all the voices from yesterday. This is not, they are not pointing us towards the future here in Philadelphia.
All right, guys.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Guys. All right, coming up from us, President Bill Clinton. He will take the stage tonight, speaking not on behalf of himself, not in support of just any other candidate, but in support of his wife. What will he say? His former speechwriter joins us next.